and welcome to Work the Left Side in what is a brand new series for the channel, which is going to be known as WTLS SideTalk, in which me and my handsome compadre from down south will be basically recapping monthly the previous months in the world of wrestling, but obviously we are 3 months, almost 4 months into the year, so we've got a hell of a lot to discuss in this debut episode. So, Scott, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. Good to see you. And it's been 3 very eventful months since we last did a show.
Very much so.
We made a lot of predictions, and I don't think even in our wildest predictions we would have imagined this much stuff would have happened in the year, let alone 3 months.
Yeah, it's had zero chill so far this year, hasn't it? Really, like all kinds of things were coming out. I think the first thing that I remember coming out, obviously, like Scott D'Amore being fired from TNA was almost like January. It felt like it was like January 3rd or something like that. It might I'm guessing the time frame, but it literally felt very early on into the year. That came as a hell of a shock. And a bit of a pulling the rug from underneath TNA after the whole rebranding, the relaunching, everything was purring there. It was so good. Well, it still is, but then that news broke, and it just kind of made everyone kind of slump into the seats again a little bit. But corporations gonna corporation, aren't they? Really, and it's unfortunate. But
very much so.
I hope it doesn't have any long-standing effects on TNA's future. Which hopefully not.
Yeah, I hope we hadn't jinxed it. I think they were one of our promotions of the year. Definitely had the pick of the pay-per-views of 2023.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think the one we were predicting the best had the brightest looking 2024. And as pretty much as soon as 2024 started, probably the most unexpected thing happened. All the big names that we were excited to see join TNA were Scott D'Amore signings. I just heard today about the Motor City Machine Guns they're looking at it after their last match. They might be signed on a pro appearance deal. So that's their biggest names, really. The guys that both Singles and Tag. So the guys further down the card are probably looking quite worried. I've always been a bit suspicious since the whole Endeavor streaming deal was announced. To be pessimistic, it looks maybe like they're stripping down on all the costs, stripping it for parts before they make a sale. I hope that's not the case. It's gonna. I feel just quite bad for the people, everyone really, the talent, the fans who are so hyped for, when saw Leon Slater when he's wrestling, he's getting TNA chants from UK crowds eager to see, happy for him. Let's hope it works out. Let's hope that they have got a plan. It just seems to be quite different from what they announced. I don't really buy a lot of the stuff that's covered. I think a lot of the let's say there's a lot of tactful politeness on the part of the talent, and you have to be professional, don't you? But I kind of think you will probably see when people's contracts are up, they'll probably be moving on, and it's a real shame.
I mean, Josh Alexander, just a couple of weeks ago, there was talk his contract was expiring soon, but then TNA, or maybe better said, Anthem. It's Anthem, right?
It's Anthem,
very, very nearly said Endeavor. Anthem decided to take up the extra year on his contract against his will. By the sounds of it, which is pretty shit, but business. Business does. And I mean, if they were to lose the Machine Guns and Alexander, and having lost Perazzo, I mean, Jordan Grace was ready to step up and be the main woman on that show, but Deanna Purrazzo has been that for the past 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a strange one with TNA. Like, they've just signed Hammerstone, so that's great.
Yep.
I think he suits that promotion very well, and he's a entertaining dude. But then, yeah, they've signed quite a few names off the UK scene, which is great to see, like Slater and Trent Seven. And I was surprised they didn't sign all of Subculture, if I'm honest, but they went with Danny Luna.
That's right.
Who is the Knockouts Tag Team Champion at the moment. With what's the name now? I've forgotten the name. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I got the next show I'll be going to will be Rev Pro at the end of the month, and she'll be appearing there.
London.
Yeah, because I was wondering what was going to be happening. It seems to be they're allowing a lot of the talent assigned there to just carry on with their UK indie dates for the time being, at least. Whether that will change, we'll have to see. But yeah, Danny Luna and Alex Windsor a dog collar match, so that's going to be pretty crazy. And obviously Josh Alexander's coming over to take part in the Revolution Rumble, and that's
wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's affecting things too much. I don't really know who's taken the lead booking wise. It seems to be maybe it's more of a it's operating on goodwill at the moment, but I think we'd have to see in 6 months' time, if people stop getting paid or stop getting contracts, which way it goes. Hopefully everything crossed, and this would just be one of those things that, even though it's a shame to see Scott Moore go, that the business can move forward. But like when Eric Young was saying, we were saying, in that promo he gave to the crowd for the pay-per-view, we need to move forward. They've taken a lot of steps back in losing Scott Moore. You can't help but feel that.
Yeah, for sure. The lady's name was Jodie Fett. I've just had to Google that because I felt terrible for drawing a blank. So, I mean, it just begs the question. Scott D'Amore is exceptional at his job. I mean, there was the whole rumor that he was putting together some kind of plan to buy TNA from Anthem, and that ultimately led to his firing, rather abrupt. I mean. We don't know, do we? The only people that know are the people that are in the room, kind of thing. But yeah, it's a very interesting theory.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is he was backed by a bank. I think he could afford to do it, but for some reason they decided to go the other way. I don't know. We know what business is like, and business is business. But it's this is a bit of a sad story to start on, really.
But from a few other things that TNA are doing really well at the moment are a few of the additions, the free agency additions of the Mustafa Ali is absolutely killing it as the X Division champion, and Grizzled Young Veterans are absolutely killing it. The feud with ABC was one of the standouts for me so far this year, and of course this stands Nick Nemeth, which is like absolutely incredible, really great business, and I think he chose the right place to go. I think they've all chosen the right place. I'm a big fan of the ball, as we've discussed Ali and the vets at length many times. I think TNA is definitely best place for them all to go at this moment in time. And it's quite interesting with Nemeth because obviously there's he's the New Japan Global Champion at the moment. He was announced for a AAA show, and New Japan have the CMLL kind of friendship, and by de facto we hate AAA kind of thing. So that's a really interesting thing to have happened in the last few days.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff, like Shayna Baszler at GCW Josh
Yeah,
Barnett
man, for sure.
came out of nowhere. I think Triple H kind of has to be proactive in that kind of sense, letting, like, if he's probably looking at the guys you've mentioned, GYV, Ali, Nick Nemeth, all released and have all torn it up in countries across the world, and he's probably thinking, if we kept those guys on, let them do these shows, if they don't feel they're being creatively catered for with WWE, keep them on, but let them go and do these other shows. And then there's a lot of, when Andrade, I had to leave to find myself. This is becoming a bit of a cliche, but he's probably thinking we're idiots for firing these guys. They're obviously all excellent. They've all gone, sold out houses across, the tours that they've been done. There's, a real buzz about them, what they're doing in TNA, and he's probably thinking, it's probably best if you haven't got, if you don't need someone and they can do a date for a GCW or whoever, it's better to let's be a bit more open. And I think it's interesting that there's it's going to be AEW talent and WWE talent on that card. It's very interesting,
Not to mention Big Lou Nixon from up in Newcastle, who was a guest on Work the Left Side only 5-6 days ago, which is just absolutely astounding, really.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I think, like, one of my favorite things about Mania weekend are the shows around it, and Speedball's going to be working his little socks off again. But yeah,
Speedball, Jeff Cobb, there was somebody else that worked about 10 different shows over the last WrestleMania weekend. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
I must have watched about 7 different promotions over that weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be busy.
My eyes hurt by the end of it. Well, yeah, it's coming up, isn't it? It's coming up again.
Yeah.
So let's kind of venture into New Japan territory, shall we? There's an awful lot going on in New Japan. Obviously, they've lost Okada, they've lost Ospreay, they've lost Tamba Tonga. It kind of seemed like the War Dogs were all out of contract at the same time. So it was all kind of, what's going on here? These guys are being pushed as the main faction.
Yeah.
But Kid and Driller have both re-signed. Just Clark Connors and Coughlin to go. But yeah, it definitely feels like transitional period in New Japan's history. I mean, I've gone back and watched a ton, but I've been watching New Japan for maybe 2 years, like, religiously. So yeah, there's an awful lot of change going on. They've lost the big guys. Tanahashi's now the president, and he's wrestling less. Naito is, I feel like this is not his final hurrah, but do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, maybe he'll be a bit more part-time after this.
Maybe so. Yeah, it doesn't move as well as he once did. So I mean, it's just step forward Yuya Mura and Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino and Ren Narita and Jack Perry.
Absolutely. Crazy year.
Superb, mate, superb. Yeah. So how have you had a chance to watch much of the New Japan stuff this year?
Yeah, the stuff that's been going on this year, I mean, a lot of the booking decisions I've been like, okay. Matt Riddle again coming in, taking the belt off, Tanahashi off. He's just taking it off of Zack, but it looks like they're making Zack as going to be maybe their number one guy, positioning him in that way. He thoroughly deserves it. But I think with change, it's kind of gonna I think it's one of those things where let's see where it is going. Let's not jump to any conclusions right away. It was funny, the Jack Perry stuff with Meltzer coming out and saying how angry Tony Khan was, and it was like a punishment, and then Tony Khan coming out and saying, I'm really happy for Jack, he's doing great. Of course, it's like I do kind of, it is quite funny how kind of much like Meltzer's getting wrong. A little bit of Schadenfreude there, because he just kind of makes it up, seems to be making it up as he goes along. And I
he's
think
talking out of his arse more and more, that man.
Yeah, and I think it's got.
I hate that people like regurgitate what he says on like every outlet.
Yeah, as news, as
fact. What he says, and it's just like, this guy is just talking out of his arse and making it up. He goes along. And he's just becoming another, clickbait kind of headline person, and lost all credibility, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I think with the amount of crazy stuff and stuff that's coming out of left field that's going on, it kind of shows you who like the real journalists are, and who are the guys who are just kind of winging it now. And maybe one day they had better connections, but I think what's gone down and things, I think some people are kind of finding themselves, and you can kind of tell they kind of throw a bit of a hissy fit and get a bit moody and try and stir the pot. The amount of times you hear this promotion or that promotion is going out of business, or there's backstage turmoil or whatever, just because they're not getting spoon fed, is quite funny. But but yeah, I think if you'd have said to me on our New Year's show that one of your predictions was Jack Perry would be in House of Torture and a de facto Bullet Club member, I'd have gone, that's pretty wild. I don't think it's going to happen, and it's where we are. I think it's quite exciting. That I was a bit worried for a bit, but I think seeing what's happened with Yota Tsuji recently, and what's coming up for Sakura Genesis, I think it's kind of finding its footing. I think Tanahashi's going to want to put his stamp on things, and he's not going to get everything right. But I think it's a stubborn mule, is New Japan, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And I think some of the signings and some of the things are going to work out, and some aren't. Good to see Gabe Kidd, Maloney re-signing, because they're worth their weight in gold for that promotion. The Osprey, United Empire versus War Dogs match.
It was an absolute carnage, wasn't it?
Yeah, he
absolutely amazing.
I think Osprey.
Drilla Maloney tore a bicep.
Yeah,
and still managed to compete in that match.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Osprey was worried that Hanari had actually died, I think. Heard him say that, and when he came at the back for the post-match scrum, basically head held together with bandages. It's like there's some tough guys there, and it makes me it's interesting now what might happen in AEW with maybe a faction of United Empire, because it's obviously one of the big things we'll probably talk about is Osprey going the impact he's had already. And it's kind of quite clear at the moment they're distancing him already from Callis, because they just want the positives and restore the feeling, which is and it's kind of hard to get that across when you bring out Callis and it's instant booze. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Takeshita and Hobbs will become the muscle in a new United Empire for the American market. Aussie Open will come back. That's a pretty solid faction, but we'll see what happens. It's exciting stuff.
I still think there's a story to tell with Osprey kind of turning Fletcher back onto being a United Empire member rather than a Callis family member.
Yeah.
And then Mark Davis coming back. There's still something there. Did you catch Dynamite today?
Yep.
The booze that Callis got was absolutely glorious, right? I couldn't even hear what he was saying. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, So back to New Japan. So with Nemeth and Riddle becoming champions there. When we were both watching Wrestle Kingdom, we were just like, there's so X is going to win, and then the other person wins, and we were just both sat there just like, what is going on? This is just absolute madness. What's happening here? And then obviously, like I say, Nemeth and Riddle both won championships. And I can see what they're going for. They've lost stars. They need stars from across the pond, and people to still have give their attention to New Japan. So I can see what they're going for. And the whole Jack Perry thing's very, very curious indeed. I think he really fits House of Torture, to be fair. I'm quite enjoying it.
I think it's what he had to do. I don't think that anyone could come up with a better idea for what Jack Perry does next, after basically, you've lost, for better or for worse, your company's biggest name. I don't think he's entirely responsible. It's a factor of many things. I heard, the Punk AEW breakup being as something necessary for both parties. Like, you can like Punk and you can like AEW, but you got to admit they weren't a good fit, and they, they obviously are now Punk's in WWE and AEW have gone on without Punk. They both seem to be in much better places. And I think something like that needed to happen. Otherwise, I don't think Tony Khan would have ever sacked him. It's just one of those unfortunate things that has happened. But it's you can never predict. Like, the only thing we know about predicting wrestling is what we know nothing.
Yeah. The only thing for sure about pro wrestling is that nothing's for sure.
Exactly.
Which leads us swiftly on to, we'll move into a more AEW sphere now, and I think we'll start with, there's lots to talk about, a whole host of stuff, but Sting and his retirement. Thank you, Sting. First and foremost, absolute legend, icon. Nobody like him. Nobody will ever be like him ever again. One of a kind. And like, the whole retirement run was perfect, in my opinion. The match was perfect. The send-off was perfect. The only thing that kind of wasn't perfect was Ric Flair showing up, but the less said about him, better.
The better.
So let's not mention him again. But I really, obviously most legends go out on the backs looking at the lights, as the phrase goes. Yeah. But Sting he's just different.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do that, but Tony Khan and the Bucks convinced him to go out being the champion, being a winner. Yeah. And it was just fantastic. The match was so much fun, really well done, really well paced. The Bucks are just, I love the Young Bucks, and I don't care if you hate the Young Bucks. You are wrong.
Yeah, I think
they are wonderful.
I think if you don't get what they're doing, I mean, I think I have this seen this a lot of times, and I've like, okay, I won't explain the joke because it will kill the joke, but they know what they're doing. Like last Dynamite when they're in Gorilla producing anything that the IWC will say, I hate the Young Bucks, because they will go out and then do that. They will go and wrestle in box fresh Nikes that are worth $1,000 to crease them. They will grow dodgy facial hair. They will, they will wear terrible suits. It's like, that they will, at the end of the day, they're the perfect foil. They'll beat up Tony Schiavone. Yeah,
they will insist on Alex Marvez speaking in Japanese too, because he's Joe Okada.
They're fantastic.
I love this. I love this new Bucks gimmick. It's just basically being what people think they are on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okada joining them was just wonderful. Like, so perfect.
And it goes to show you, I think I read that Okada and the Bucks bonded over watching Botchamania on YouTube, and during his time in TNA, when he was kind of maybe a bit homesick and didn't have any friends, they were like the guys that took him under his wing. So when people say, "Oh, it's all friendship wrestling," well, friendship does count for a hell of a lot, and it is good to see those guys are having, a good time. I never for one second thought Okada would ever go to WWE. It just
I didn't get that feel either,
no,
to be fair.
and I was just getting sick and tired of people saying, well, if he goes to AEW, he'll just fight the people that we've already seen him fight in New Japan. There's going to be nothing new to this, and much rather him be in WWE. First thing they do is they turn him heel. No one was expecting that, you know.
Nope.
First person he scalps, Eddie Kingston, takes away the what that guy has fought for, the Continental, and it elevates him. It's heartbreaking for Eddie and fans of Eddie like me, but you're like, this is great. This is exactly what he needed to do. For everyone that was complaining, oh well, no, he'll just get lost in a shuffle. He'll just be another Jay White. And I was like, what was wrong with Jay White apart from Jericho getting involved? And as we know, Jericho will attach himself to whatever is the hottest property at that moment. It's for better or for worse, and there's positives and negatives to Jericho's storylines. I think it's absolutely fantastic. That is what everyone's doing right now.
I mean, I'm a day one AEW fan through the tougher times and the best times, and right now I'm having the best time.
Yeah.
Revolution was one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen. The women's match could have been a little longer, but that's literally like my only minor critique. Revolution was so good. Like Danielson and Kingston was awesome, and let's just get onto it.
And Danielson's incredible matches.
Yeah, very much so, against Shibata and Kingston and June Akiyama, and I forget the guy in the blue trunks. Nagata.
Yuji Nagata, yeah.
Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder, yeah. I thought that whole story with Kingston was really, really, really well done. Like, not all feuds need to be half an hour promos. That is a perfectly done in-ring feud with some promos on top of, and it's just really what I prefer personally. I was gonna come on to Konosuke Takeshita. I struggle with that guy's name, man. And Will Ospreay just basically being one of the greatest pro wrestling matches ever. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
it's exactly unreal.
Yeah, and exactly what both guys, they knew what they were. They had a mission. They accomplished it. Everyone's all of a sudden gone quiet. Oh, Takeshita, he's suffering in the all the negativity from Takeshita gone. Takeshita has been one of my favorites from DDT through to his matches on Dark. He's always been a phenomenal athlete. The other thing which is it's good to see is how many people are being introduced to Ospreay on the mic. You and I will know
he's really good.
Seeing him live, he's always his connection with the audience has never been in doubt. Yeah, he's got some to learn how to work the American TV style, but he's taking it to duck to water. There's no issues there. Even it's got Uncle Dave singing his praises about how he's better than Cody. So it doesn't need to. We don't need to go there. We don't need to compare him to anyone else. He's like I say, he's on another level, bruv. He really is. No one can wrestle like him. It's even got, as I mentioned to you when we were chatting the other week, Ted DiBiase critiquing. Now, where were these critiques when he was fighting in New Japan and Rev Pro? It just seems, and it's kind of like, I'm like live and let live. Enjoy what you want to watch, and if you want to watch something that's more, let's say, drama based with longer promos and more talking and less wrestling, that's fine. But if you're criticizing someone just for the fact that they've gone to a certain rival promotion, which you don't have to like, but you said nothing about them before, and if they'd gone to you, it's it's the Booker T scenario where he was slagging off CM Punk. Now it looks like Punk's going to be taking over NXT after Shawn Michaels steps down from booking. So, and then Booker makes those jokes about, oh, we almost got into it, and then comes out and admits to spreading clickbait. It's
all you got to do is mention his name and people are interested. So
yeah,
it's a very easy
I
thing to do.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to see Ospreay versus Punk. That would have been great, but you never know. But
I don't think Punk would be able to keep up with Ospreay now. Like Punk when he first came back to AEW, as opposed to like Punk now.
Yeah,
I don't think he'd keep up with Ospreay all that much.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong. It would be a money match. It would be an absolute money match.
At the end of the day, wherever he was going to end up, he was going to do phenomenal things because we know that he's the best from being fans of UK indie scene and New Japan, and it's just great to see. And there's some crowds are selling out, businesses picking up. Mercedes Moné, Okada, Ospreay. You look at the poster for All In, and you just can't believe the talent. It's incredible. Shibata, coming back, Pac coming back. The another strange thing. I don't want to too negative, but now people saying, oh well, dream match is just it's meaningless because everything's a dream match. Yeah, everything's a dream match. Great. What's wrong with that?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, people just want to be miserable for the sake of being miserable. Like you said earlier, if you want to watch more dramatized, longer promos, all that kind of stuff, then go watch it.
Yeah,
but there's no reason for you to shit on stuff that other people are doing and what other people do. There's room for it all.
And here's the thing: it's like in WWE, The Rock is back with Cody, Roman, Seth, Punk, Drew McIntyre. No, when it was kind of like running on fumes a bit, and every other match was Lesnar versus the Vince kind of booking. The complaint was it's too predictable. Now no one knows which way it's going to go, which is a massive plus for me. And I think Drew McIntyre's stuff recently has been great. God knows what he's going to do, if he's going to re-sign. We're saying about the Punks being fantastic trolls, the stuff that Drew's been coming up with his t-shirts and his posts on social media being absolutely hilarious, and the kind of banter that it's just funny.
Yeah, he's reached levels of entertainment I wasn't sure that he was ever capable of. But it makes me laugh every other day with something that he's come up with. I mean, like the CM Punk headline in WrestleMania, the funeral meme thing was just like, wow, absolute peak internet.
And it's a perfect example of showing someone that gets the joke and is confident in his character, and then you've got Booker T trying to do the same thing, and it's like tumbleweeds, and then he comes back and explains the joke, and you're like, dude, you're making it worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, seeing as anything else that you want to talk about AEW? Obviously, we've touched on Okada and Ospreay. What do you think about was Deanna Pratt this year, or was she the back of the last year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
wasn't she? Yeah, she's definitely worth mentioning. She's a stellar addition to the women's roster for sure.
Yeah, the women's roster is so much better than it was. Obviously you've had injuries and they've had to make some signings and really focus on it. But I think, that is it's great now. Mariah May as well. Tony Storm impression is uncanny.
Had me for like full 3 seconds at Revolution.
Yeah. So and likewise when Sting's Sons came out, when the first Son came out, I thought, oh, he's gone back to Surfer Sting, but it's like, hang on, there's 3 Stings. But the I think what they're building up to. I mean, Thunder Rosa's coming back, kind of teasing that she might take over LFI, doing the signs and whatnot. It'd be interesting to see what happens there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big signs. Obviously, Sean Spears has left, and there's a couple of other people that might not be returning, but I think for it's
QT Marshall.
Yeah, he kind of went for a cup of tea and came back, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I think he tried to Bobby Fish it, didn't he? Go and see if what the other lot was saying, and I think Triple H wasn't gonna give him what he wanted, so he came back, and Tony Khan's like, no hard feelings, let's get back to work. I think QT's a very valuable member, and I think there's a limit to how many people of Team Cody they want on WWE, because there's a lot of those guys, and it would be interesting to see what he would have done, but I don't think he would have been given the freedom that I think he realized pretty quickly that he's got it pretty good at AEW.
Yeah, for sure. And the good thing is for us, as far as I'm aware, he's not an active wrestler anymore. Right. He's just going to be a coach and stuff, which is good news.
Yeah,
that QTV stuff was a face palm and a half. The whole thing.
Yeah, and everyone since they've left that has improved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from Harley Cameron, she's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not fussed. Personally, at least.
No. And again, that's the Rampage with Zach Knight turning up on that. Again, interesting. Let's see what happens there. But Rampage has been quite a bit up and down. Obviously, not the show it was when it first started, but there was the the Best Friends versus Dark Order match, and I really enjoyed that, and it really had me like feeling it had the nostalgia hit of this is what it used to be like in 2020, but it's I think it's going to be a great year for AEW. Obviously, All In coming up again, and we're only 3 months in, and already a year's worth of stuff has happened.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, long may it continue. The sold out houses, the new stage setup is great. Like the roster's just unreal. Like the Swerve story's bubbling away.
Yeah,
we've had no MJF whatsoever this year, and it's weirdly like it's kind of not been noticeable that he's not been there. Only when you look at the Undisputed Kingdom and how they've just kind of been flailing in the wind a little bit, like directionless almost.
Yeah, I think.
Do you realize MJF isn't around? So I'm excited to have him back. I'm assuming Dynasty is going to be the show that he comes back at, and then I'm excited to finally see that feud pick up again, like Cole and MJF, because it's just
since
flailing like a pair of underpants on a pole.
Since the pay-per-view, it's really picked up, and all the shows have been great. And like you say, no MJF, no Kenny. It's Hangman.
Well, soon, Kenny, I love you.
Yeah, Hangman's off for a bit, so all these big names, out of action. Jamie Hayter's still not back, but there's still the roster is so deep and defined that it's like I say, you kind of think, oh, there's no MJF. Oh yeah, geez. But when he comes back, it's going to be like they can rest and come back with a new angle, new storylines, pick up on old stuff. I think the only thing I haven't really enjoyed was Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Yeah, same.
Really, the whole, yeah. I never
I
really.
like the Acclaimed. I like Bullet Club Gold. The Bang
Yeah.
Bang Sister Gang wasn't something I wanted to see.
No.
So when the turn happened last week, I was fucking jumping up and down, like, finally, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Made me happy for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it was just an odd thing. I think it was like you say, with maybe they were expecting people to come back or feuds to develop, and they kind of thought, well, let's give these guys have got nothing to do, so let's stick them together. It would have only made sense if they were having to still fend off the Undisputed Kingdom, but Undisputed Kingdom seems to have completely forgotten about those guys, and that's probably because Max isn't around. So, you know, it was just sometimes things happen because of injuries and stories go unresolved, or like you say, they're flapping away, and you just think, right, we need to cut that off.
Yeah, cut the flaps.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania is coming up, as we mentioned a bit earlier. You mentioned Dwayne being back earlier. I mean, I understand the hyperbole around The Rock. He is a megastar. He is nostalgia for so many millions of people.
Yeah.
I'm just not that interested. But
fair enough.
But that's me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I watched the first few kind of clips on the YouTube and stuff of him coming out and turning heel and doing all this kind of stuff. But I've just not watched anything for a few weeks.
No,
since
same here.
But people like it, that's fine. I'm in no way saying you shouldn't like this because it's stupid. You're stupid, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. I would much rather go and watch something from Rev Pro or, like, you know, see what TNA are doing, or, you know what I mean, just find something that I prefer to spend my time watching. You know, but yeah, like I say, it's not for everybody.
That's a great point, because there's only so much time you have. So I was listening to a podcast earlier, the Swerve City podcast, and GYV were on.
Oh, I need to get on that.
Yeah, it's a great listen. Yeah, and James Drake was saying that, you know, one of the things he doesn't like in the he wishes would change about modern wrestling is the like kind of like people hate watching a show. And he says, yeah, it's fair enough. If there's something you don't like, you don't have to like it, and you can say you don't like it, but what do you like? And if you're constantly watching something and saying, I hate this, 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 then stop watching it and kind of value your life more and your time on this earth.
I agree.
You know, because why are you just wasting it? You know, you can go onto any social media platform and you'll see pages set up, you know, just to bring down what someone else is enjoying. I'm all for like healthy debate, and, you know, not everyone's going to agree, and you might like something and someone else has completely, but I think nuance and balanced discussions are not really the thing for, you know, social media, when things get heated and everyone has an opinion and everyone has to be right, which is a bit sad. But I think The Rock, when he first came back, I was like watching like clips of it, the press conference and stuff, interested to see what was going. Interesting more to see how he's came into the board of directors and kind of derailed stuff and the massive pivot that they did. But since then, I'm just reading, oh, there's a 40-minute version of his promo on his social media, and then you get the 30-minute version of that on SmackDown. And I'm like, that's an hour and a 10 of, and I mean, he's the best at what he does. No one can monologue like The Rock, you know. And, you know, it's just interesting. Like, he was wrestling full time for 8 years. He's been a movie star for like 22 years. So he's been a movie star longer than a professional wrestler full time. And also, you know, there'll be people in that audience that won't have been born when he was an active wrestler. and they're selling out in big part to him. There's people that couldn't give two stuffs maybe about wrestling, but they can get a $30 ticket and they know that they can see The Rock. Saying that's what's happening, but it's something that you can bear in mind. And once he's gone, it'd be interesting to see if interest overall drops off. I think it might.
Maybe so.
Similar to with Cena. And it's it's great that he's there, but I think after Mania, you're not going to see him again till next year when he's going to fight Roman. So.
Yeah, I mean, I find his promos a little bit on the repetitive side. I don't know, like I say, I understand it. It's fine. Entertainment. It's entertainment. At the end of the day, he's a born entertainer.
Yeah.
But I mean, people give the books a hard time for being like any EVPs and booking themselves to win and be champs and all at the top of the card or whatever, and then literally The Rock is on the board of directors, and then within
daughter is NXT general manager.
Yeah, pretty much. And then within like a week or two, he's the main focal point on SmackDown, and he's inserted into the whole WrestleMania storyline and stuff. And it's just like, well, why aren't you guys giving him a hard time? Because it seems like he's just crowbarred his way into the whole state of affairs. But anyway, I could be wrong. Anyway, I'm just some schmuck on the internet that just loves wrestling and digests everything that I read, and that's what I just like to know.
I just generally I'll be more interested if, and obviously he's not going to be wrestling as before Mania in case he picks up an injury, but I'm not really. I don't really have the time, or I don't have the inclination to want to watch a 3-hour show with under an hour's of actual in-ring entertainment, which is going to be punctuated with commercial breaks. And I know other companies go to commercial break during matches, but I rewatched Danielson and Shibata, and that's the 20-minute match. Yeah. So that's about half. And that's in Collision, so that's a 2-hour show, and that match is 20 minutes. And I think there was a SmackDown or Raw, it was Raw, wasn't it, when it had like 48 minutes of actual wrestling. So that's half the wrestling time in one match. I don't know. I've heard the argument grow that people watch WWE, they don't like matches. I don't know if that's some different level of coping. It's so weird that you would say, well, actually, all I like are the entrances, the promos, the finishes, and that's it. I don't really care if matches are boring. And again, that's fine. But
that is fine.
It's like if you want to listen to a band, you should be able to talk about how much you love that band, and not go and create a page that say, if you love band A. Oh, well, actually, rather than say how much I love band A, I'm going to make a page about how much I hate band B, and just go in after their fans. And another downside to what's been happening here is the kind of flack that certain talent have been getting in WWE from the fans. Like at house shows, the crap that
Maxine Dupree.
Yeah, that was, there's booing, and then there's just, hateful kind of like, that was pretty disgusting. And they've kind of tried to work it into a storyline. And some things you don't have, everything that happens in real life doesn't have to be a storyline. And,
they tried doing the same thing to Tiffany Stratton, and she just turned around and said, like, shut up or whatever, and then just sassed her way out of it. And I remember commenting on it, just saying like that's the way to do it. It's like water off a duck's back. Be the character, and just try not to let it get to you. But it must be hard when you've got people just rah-rahing in your face. And
I just don't understand why you would want to do that. If you haven't got anything, if you've not got anything constructive to say, then shut up. You have to be howling your disapproval the whole time. The crap that's
the internet in a nutshell, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have nothing to say, but I'm going to say it.
just walk away. It's fine. Yeah. It's yeah. So yeah, it's the Rock coming back is definitely a very interesting thing. It will be interesting to see the power, how it plays out, if when he goes back to Hollywood, if he'll be more hands off and Triple H will take the reins more. It definitely seems to be that Raw was the more dominant show, the Triple H kind of led show, and he'd kind of let SmackDown just kind of do what it wanted to do. And now the Rock's back. SmackDown is the A show, and Raw has gone back down to being the B show and more of an afterthought.
Let's talk about something a little bit more lighthearted and
Yeah.
a little bit more lovely, and that is John Cena reacting to Kenny Omega's words on his Twitch stream the other day, saying that like Kenny said that John Cena was, I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of just like the absolute model face of a company, and I love that. I really respect that guy, and what he's done is just incredible. And then that must have got back to John Cena, and he put a picture of Kenny Omega, because he does like these captionless, random, sometimes cryptic Instagram posts with like I say, no hashtags, no nothing, just a picture. Sometimes you've got to look at it and really like study it to understand what's going on. But yeah, he put a picture of Kenny Omega onto his Instagram yesterday or the day before, and it just warmed my heart. It was nice to see that respect from two of the greats.
Yeah, the most unexpected bromance since Adam Cole and MJF. So yeah, But yeah, it's good to see
since MJF and Baron Corbin, they're quite friendly. That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. It's good to see, and who knows? He wants to retire at the O2, Cena. Whether WWE will, he's never going to leave WWE, and they'll give him what he wants. But like I joked with you, it would be funny to see him come out at Wembley to with Kenny. But no, it's things you didn't expect to see, and again, it's it kind of helps diffuse all the toxicity in my faction is, or my company's better than your company, when they're all just getting on with the guys showing up to support Mercedes at her AEW debut, Bailey turning up, and they're all getting in disguises and turning up, and people.
I love that. I loved it so much.
Yeah, people just hanging out and not kind of there was thinking about like maybe even like coming up to Mania weekend, if Dustin was allowed to go and see Cody's match, just to be in the crowd. I don't think that would be a massive issue. I don't think people would, like I said, there's been a regime change, and the crazy old guy that would blow a gasket at the thought of that happening isn't around anymore. So let's show everyone how much he changed, not by snide comments and pissantness and not competition. That Dustin at Mania in the crowd to cheer on Cody would be something for the ages, and it's not going to affect his standing in AEW. People aren't going to boo him in AEW for going to support Cody, are they?
No, not at all. I mean, it'd be a beautiful moment, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But then you had Kevin Nash coming out the other day saying that I'm not going to be going to Sting's retirement match because he's a WWE legend.
Yeah.
And I'm a WWE guy, and I don't want to be going there and the camera panning to me and then me getting like a Kevin Nash is all elite graphic. I was just like, how fucking egotistical could you possibly get? You could just be there for your friend and not be a fucking moron.
Yeah. And they wouldn't do that to him. Yeah. I mean, you had McIntyre and Scotty Riggs, and obviously Steamboat came out, and he would have just been it would just been a nice thing to see. And I don't think they would have gone, right, quick, let's zoom in and let's get a AEW shirt on Kevin Nash. I mean, geez, come on, man.
Nope. Ridiculous. And then, like you said about, and then you said about Bailey being in the crowd for the big business and stuff. It's just like, it's what it should be. Friends support friends. Obviously, companies can be rivals, but
yeah,
stuff like that makes me smile, and it's nice to see.
yeah.
More of it, please. Did you catch that Matt Hardy was at Raw?
Yeah,
Past
exactly.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's another good example. He was there. Raw was in town. That's where he lives. He went to see the show.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
simple.
Doesn't need to be any more than
No,
that.
I really think that's kind of one of the things that has changed this year. Is like, and I admit, like maybe when AEW was starting and Cody was going, I was like, oh God, what's it? What? But now, like Spears moving across, Pillman Jr., Jade Cargill. Then on the other side, you got Monet coming across, and yada yada yada. Andrade floating around, seeming to want to recruit young men to his faction. First, he couldn't get Darby, so now he's gone after Dirty Dom. I mean, come on, man! It's like you're doing the same story. You literally just turn one kid for another kid. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's
talking bad English.
yeah,
Like,
it's kind of like it's getting to that thing where it's just a much messier. If that's a good, like we're saying, people turning up on GCW shows, people turning up on indie shows here, and no one really giving too much of a toss. Like, no one's going clutching at pearls, going, "Oh, they're going to destroy our business." Obviously, you had the thing with CMLL and AAA not wanting their talents on AEW shows to be facing each other. But I think that's kind of like, that's all I've really heard recently. People seem to be a lot more chill about it, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, it's always good to have a few shots, friendly shots back and forth. Keeps it interesting.
Absolutely, yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll start winding down in the next few minutes. I think we've been going for more or less an hour. I just want to make a special mention, because we didn't mention earlier when we were talking about Will Ospreay matches, the Michael Oku match from Rev Pro High Stakes was just fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. Storytelling at its finest. Just astonishing match.
Yeah.
50 or so minutes of just pure, just like grit and like nail biting.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, that whole show, you've watched it back. I was lucky enough to go there. It was just local to me, but it was a fantastic card. Connor Mills had a great match with Zack Sabre Jr. on that card. I think Connor Mills is, like I say, he's my pick for. He's going to have a breakout year. I think he's just won the King of Chaos belt over in Chaos in Bristol, so he's doing a lot of good stuff. JJ Gale and Luke Jacobs, standout match on that. I see that Rev Pro have announced for April the 1st, day after the Revolution Rumble, that JJ Gale versus Josh Alexander, which is going to be very interesting. I think,
cool.
Yeah. Luke Jacobs, again, one of our picks. And I think the matches he's had against Ishii have really lifted him up. And then this Michael Oku and Ospreay match, I had higher hopes for it, but man, like you say, 50 minutes is like, it just flew. I was kind of like about 3 rows back in the bleachers, and the guys guys behind me, guys around me, we were sucked in. It was really why you go to a pro wrestling show. We were hanging on every beat, and people were up on their feet. That place was nuts. Tony Khan was up in the box with Orange Cassidy, and I think Darby Allin was there. After the match ended, Tony came down and Will said his piece to the crowd. But it was perfect. We're talking about like the Sting having the perfect retirement match. I think that was a perfect send off for Ospreay from the Indies. The crowd were singing Ospreay's coming home for when he's talked about seeing it at Wembley, and you can see him tear up a bit, and you could just see him think, geez, in August it's going to be me at Wembley, and there's probably going to be 50,000 people in those blacksmith apparel, Osprey, Billy Goat football shirts, singing Osprey's Coming Home, and you could see he was getting excited and thinking, wow, okay, be in the moment, but it's going to be incredible. That match, I think, is probably going to end up the last one back in 2022, I think, York Hall. That was my match of the year. This is going to, I don't think, and I mean, February, I don't think I'm going to see a better match. And again, it's that whole thing about when you see a match live and when you see a match on the TV, they're two different matches. But this, I think, is something that transcends, and everyone can be like, you know, I've read reviews from like people who were there going, oh my God, da, 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 da. And then other people who watch it on TV saying, oh, the sound mixing wasn't that great. It just shows you it's like, it's the same thing, but you're obviously how it's presented can give you a different outlook on it. But for me, I think it was probably one of the greatest shows of that. Was just that it was kind of, you know, indescribable. There was like grown ass men crying at the end, and I was a bit like, oh, this is, and it was really kind of everyone was really up, but then there's like kind of like tinge of a bit of sadness, knowing this is the last time before he's off to America. But you know, bittersweet, because we've been getting some great you know, Osprey stuff on Dynamite, and it's our gift to the world, isn't it? It's the UK's gift to, you know, let's let everyone else enjoy what we've been lucky enough to enjoy for like the last 11 years or so.
Yeah, he's nobody does it like Will Ospreay does, and Michael Oku is, I think, has been handed the reins for
definitely
British wrestling, so I think it's in very safe hands with him.
Exactly, yeah, and let's hope, you know, he's obviously done some work with Jericho. Jericho thinks very highly of him, and you know, it'd be great to see him maybe pop up in AEW, as well as, you know, taking the charge of, you know, the UK scene. He's a great ambassador and a fantastic talent, and one of the best in-ring storytellers. You know, stuff that he was doing with Osprey, it's again, we were like Osprey, but it takes two, and those guys are the perfect foils. You know, the entrance when Osprey came out with the Assassin's Creed, and he gets the sword, and Oku takes it to his throat. Just those touches, everything was perfect. It was fantastic, and you know, they didn't put a foot wrong. It was, and it's similar to the Sting match in a lot of ways, because nothing kind of was off on that either. So we've been lucky. We've had like these two perfect send-offs where, you know, nothing went wrong and everyone could just sit back and enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. So I had the distinct pleasure of finally getting to see Spike Trivet live and in person last weekend, courtesy of the kindness and generosity of Tidal Championship Wrestling. Shout out to Taj and Mad Dog. They had myself and Nick go along just to be there. But yeah, Spike Trivet, of someone I've watched and wanted to see for quite a long time, and through my own laziness and the fact that I hate London. I don't really hate London. I just hate that it's like 5 hours away or hundreds of pounds away. It's not easy, and everything's down there, and I'm at the opposite end of the country. And great heel, fully recognised character, great worker. Love his finisher off the top rope, like the knees in the face, and I got chills watching the guy. And then to make things even nicer, after the show had finished, he came out and basically came over to me, started up a conversation with me, not me, started up a conversation with him, which was kind of surreal. He just came out, started chatting and stuff, and I was just like, big fan of your work, mate. This is a pleasure. Thank you so much. So yes, super cool. And I just saw that he's going over to the Progress show in the States. I forget who his opponent is. Is it Luke Jacobs?
I think, yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah, because he's been doing some work for Rev Pro as well. He was part of the 7-man brawl, Orange Cassidy versus, when he was squaring up against him, I was like, wow. Didn't think I was going to see this, but yeah, he's had a great run as Progress champ, about 500 plus days. Great feud with Lycos. So fantastic, street fights, death matches, steel cage matches. Real, like you say, they couldn't, like you say, from your experience, such a nice guy. And then as soon as he gets in the ring, feels like switching. He's the most hated man in the building.
Yes,
People
absolutely.
baying for his blood, and it's like that's not easy. Especially with a cynical, smart crowd, you might get people taking the piss, this and that, but he commands them, and he basically turns them into a braying mob, which is exactly what you want from that kind of level heel. And he's really a fantastic talent, and be really interesting to see what he does going on now. He's dropped the belt. His team had, his whole faction got decimated, after, show after show of this is going to be the one where he loses. This is going to be the one, talk about, people finishing the story. One of the strap lines, I don't know if it's official or not, for the Kid Lycos and Trivet steel cage match was let's finish the Tory, which is a great play on the Cody Rhodes angle. But yeah, really good stuff. And cool. And also I had the privilege, I drew a poster for some fan art with a tombstone with Lycos in the tomb, and for his match against Spike Trivet at the Long Halloween. And he he reached out to me and said, you need to come to the next show because there's going to be something that's of interest to you. I was like, oh. And he'd built the tombstone that I'd drawn and used it as a weapon in the match. And
no way.
Yeah, and Lycos got tombstone through the tombstone. And
That's
after
amazing,
the
man.
event, I went and I've grabbed a bit of the tombstone, so I've got a bit of the grey tombstone of Kid Lycos as a little keepsake. But that was again, engaged with the fans, creative. The stuff that he does in death matches, pulling tacks out his head, going through glass. It's a real deal, and fantastic to see him, going on to working overseas with Progress and more shows in Rev Pro.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So that was a pleasure, and then that title show was a lot of fun as well. And it feels just good to be part of the community that's going on up here, which is quite cool at the moment.
Yep.
Shout out to Tidal, shout out to Fast Count Clothing, and shout out to the promotion that we're at the left side sponsor, which is True Grit, up in Leeds and York. And on that note, I think we'll start winding it down. So, as I said, this is the first episode of myself and Scott's new SideTalk podcast, or whatever you want to call it, series. We'll be doing monthly episodes recapping the previous month. Obviously, in April, we've got WrestleMania, everything that goes around that. We've got ROH, Supercard of Honor, we've got New Japan Sakura Genesis, we've got AEW Dynasty, we've got TNA Sacrifice, we've got
there's a lot.
Bananas in Pajamas. There's an awful lot to look forward to. So we will be back at the end of next month with another episode. Might not be quite as long as this one, but anyway. So do you want to plug your socials, Mr. Scott?
As I mentioned before, my fan art is on Scenes of Graphite Horror. So if you want to go and see what that poster looked like at the tombstone, and I tried to post a couple of pictures at least a week kind of UK wrestling, AEW, WWE, classic wrestling stuff. It started off as a horror page. It's kind of transmorphed into like more wrestling stuff, basically because there's more going on in wrestling than horror movies at the moment. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, where are you at the clone?
Yeah, but the saying that, the new Alien trailer looked fantastic. So
yes, it did. Yes, it did. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole different podcast for a whole different day.
That's the other spin-off. Yeah.
Yeah. Work the left side horror. Anyway, yeah. So I will plug Work the Left Side. So we've got Work the Left Side on Facebook. We've got WTLS at 420 on TikTok and Twitter, or X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I personally, I'm in control of the Instagram, which is WTLS316, and the threads, but that's just kind of where I drop links, to be honest with you. But if you would like to like, share, and subscribe to all of those, tell your friends about Work the Left Side. Nick has really started something super cool that I believe in. So the more people see it, the better. He does awesome podcasts with awesome up and coming wrestlers, some more established than others, every week. So we are looking for some collaborators to come in and do bits on the channel also. So if you are still with us after an hour and 14 minutes or whatever it is, you are a hero and fancy collaborating in some kind of way, contact me or Nick on the Instagram or the Facebook or whatever you want. Just give us a shout and we'll see if we can accommodate your idea. So yeah, my name's Ash. She's been Scott, and we will see you guys in a month, I guess. And yeah, peace, love, and hugs.